Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Meridian Center. We're in the heart of Niagara in St. Catharines. Day 5 of the FIBA U18 tournament, semifinal day, but first, consolation games.
And for these two teams, the Dominican Republic, they fell in the early game against Argentina and Ecuador. Even though they competed hard, they lost to the USA.
And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Anthony Gallo, joined by my partner, Joseph D'Agostino. Joe, Ecuador versus Dominican, what can we expect today?
Well, I think for the Dominican, we have to make sure that they start strong and they don't feel like they're demoralized after that loss yesterday. I know they had high expectations, but they had some good things this year, especially from Alonso Frink and Lester Quinones. I expect them to start getting it going early.
Yeah, you're right. Both yesterday, over 25 points. Alonso with 27 and 7, and Quinones with 26. But yesterday, 5 of 7 from three-point range. Ecuador's got to chase them off the line if they want a chance to win this game.
And one thing about Ecuador that we've seen all tournament long is that they play hard, they compete, especially on the defensive side. I know their record doesn't show as if that they've been playing well, but I think the team that they are, especially that we know that they haven't been in this tournament, I think they played well.
And for Dominican, you got to take advantage of your size today. Joel Soriano, he can't settle for one shot, and he missed that one shot. He's got to play big and take advantage of his size advantage.
And we've seen him on a couple of guys like Jesus Lombardo on Panama. It kind of bullied Soriano around, and that just shouldn't be happening to a guy like him. So he needs to be better. And I think overall for the Dominican, we saw early in that first half that Alonso Frink and Lester Quinones, they were the only guys who were scoring. A guy like David Jones, who was efficient those first couple games, he got more minutes and did nothing yesterday. Same like a guy like Soriano. So maybe move the ball a little bit more, play like a team, and that'll get them a win today.
Yeah, speaking of playing like a team, Ecuador does play like a team. Maybe their talent level just isn't what the rest of these teams are, or most of them, I should say. But for Ecuador, they have to get Edward Sanchez and Michael Moncaya going early, because those two are the best scorers on this team, and Aaron Capurro as well.
And those three guys you mentioned, they've taken almost all the shots for Ecuador. They've taken over 35 shots a game, so expect them to try to get it going early, because if they get it going, they're going to be the reason why they're in this game.
And now we'll just stand for the national anthem. Just getting set for tip-off here, about 4 minutes away. Joe, Dominican today, we know they have some great players on their team, but it seems in the past games they've really let it go because they really haven't played as a cohesive unit. What can they do today to improve on that?
I think you just have to move the ball a little bit more. I know that Alonso, Frank, and Quinones, they're great players, but they need to get everyone else involved because if everyone starts getting their looks going, then maybe they'll have a little bit of an easier time to get into the paint and maybe get the looks that they want.
Yeah, you're right. And Dominican, Alonzo Frank, South Carolina committee, we know what he brings to the table, and Lester Quinones as well. He all-time scorer. He's being looked at, a great scorer I should say. He's being looked at heavily in the States. Any team that gets him will be lucky enough to have him. But on the other side, Aaron Capurro, uber athleticism. You expect him to have a big game today.
Well, yesterday against the States, he played really good. I think he was the guy that really stood out, especially in that first quarter where it was only really like a 10-point game halfway into the first. We've seen the USA get into big blowouts early. So for him, he was kind of getting open. He was getting easy shots. And you mentioned that he's an incredible athlete. He's definitely the best athlete that Ecuador has.
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday actually in the interview, and he was saying how he wants to, for his own personal, what he wants to improve on his game. He wants to get better down low. He wants to get a little bit stronger. And imagine him with more strength. That'd be scary.
And I think that what's important for him is to make sure that, I know that a guy like Moncayo and Sanchez, they shoot the ball a lot, as well as Capurro, but I think the offense needs to run through him a little bit more. I know that Sanchez and Moncayo are usually the ones who are bringing it up. Maybe let him getting it going early, because yesterday against the States, if they weren't facing the USA, if they were facing any other team, I think Ecuador would be right in that game.
Right, and all three of those players over 10 points a game, with Moncayo leading the charge with 15 and a half. But they don't shoot the ball great, that's for sure. It seems that they get off to a hot start every game, but in the second half they start to play hero ball, and they got to stop that, right?
And I think one of the reasons that it becomes so difficult in that second half is not a lot of guys play a lot of minutes on this team. Their starters play a lot, and they can be hot in the first half, but it's hard to expect these players, these young players who maybe aren't as talented as the other team, to play 35, 38 minutes and also be red hot from the field the entire time. That's why you got to get a little bit more from the other players on the team.
And a big part of Ecuador's success today will be Kenning Rivera. He's the only one that really matches up with Soriano and Alonzo Frank height-wise.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of size for Ecuador, but for Ecuador, we mentioned Capurro. He talked a bit yesterday about what it means to play for Ecuador in this tournament.
Primera vez que Ecuador juega con Estados Unidos. Nunca habían llegado, o sea, los equipos ecuatorianos nunca habían llegado a este nivel. Y pues para mí es un gran honor jugar con la selección de Estados Unidos. Son unas bestias y fue increíble.
Yeah, it's an honor to play against Ecuador, against the USA. I mean, the team Ecuador has never gotten to this level and gotten to play with this beast of a team. So it's just a great honor to be here and have the ability to play against a team such as the United States.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Yeah, he was talking about how Ecuador, this is their first time here, so they really have nothing to lose. The Ecuadorians back home must be very proud of them. They're putting Ecuador on the map on a world stage like this.
And what a great mind that kid has, especially in a position like this. When you're losing by that much, it could really dishearten you, but he knows that this team, the expectations aren't at the level of the United States. The United States are an all-world team. These are some of the best players in the country, especially a future generation. A lot of those players, they're going to be in the NBA, and Ecuador, they know the fact that they were on the same court as the States, that's impressive, and it's good for Capurro to know that he has the right head on him.
Right, and it shows how humble they are too, how he's taking in the moment. He knows, like you said, that the USA are monsters. Like they are, most of them will be going to the NBA after this, after their collegiate career, I should say.
But with that being said, this is a game that I think Ecuador could win, because we know that the Dominican, on the flip side, their expectations were high. We know that they wanted to make the World Cup, and the fact that they aren't. Maybe they're going to come into this game a little demoralized, their heads hanging down, and this could be Ecuador's game to maybe pull out a win, and how huge would that be for them?
Right, and both teams aren't going to gold, obviously, but it's about pride, and there are a lot of scouts in this arena tonight.
You're right, there are going to be a lot of scouts, and you never know who's going to take notice of you in a tournament like this. Some of these players aren't really going to be playing in North America, so for them to be in this spot, it's an opportunity to maybe turn some heads around. And for the Dominican, they have to understand, even though this is a game that they really don't want to be in, they want to be playing in the semifinals. You still have your country across your chest,
Right.
and you want to play hard for your country.
It's about pride now, and like I said, about scouting. So just getting set for tip-off here. Soriano and Rivera will take the opening tip, and even now Soriano's still got height on Rivera. So we'll see what they do down in the paint, and Dominican comes away with the tip. Rubel will take it up for the Dominican. See what they start here. Right away, Frank coming up for a high ball screen. A wide open three for Bonilla, and he's off the mark. But Soriano showing his height already, getting aggressive, and just like that, he's 1 for 1. Yesterday, 0 for 1, already off to a better start than the whole game yesterday.
And that's a great start for Soriano to be aggressive, get the offensive rebound, and a nice shot.
Moncayo up top. Finds Capurro in the corner. Capurro gonna let it fly. Hits it off iron. Here comes Rubel. Quinones, 26 yesterday. Over to Frank, who matched him with 27. Rubel gonna let it fly for 3, and he's off the mark. Frank grabs the offensive board. Alonzo Frank, the South Carolina commit. And he drains the mid-range jump shot. Alonzo Frank, a great all-around player. Yesterday we were talking in the game how he said he's already a big guy, but he wants to improve his strength even more.
And yesterday we saw him really get aggressive in the paint. I was expecting in this game, especially with the height advantage, for them to use that, but it was nice to get a shot going.
Michael Moncayo drains the 3 there to put Ecuador on the board. High ball screen coming from Frank. Soriano in the paint, 1 dribble. Nice defense there by Moncayo, but tough shot there from Soriano. But already more aggressive tonight, already more shots than yesterday, and that's just 2. Edward Sanchez. Moncayo up top, looking for a high screen from Rivera. Gets it. Beautiful crossover. Great hands there by Bonilla.
And for Ecuador, I like what they've seen so far on offense. They hit a nice open 3 early. We see them have early hot starts for them in this tournament. It's just going to be about consistency in this game.
Aaron Capurro. Sanchez calling for the ball. Capurro can't see him. Tries to take it himself. Tough shot, but he's going to head to the line for 2.
And that might be an important thing for Ecuador in this game, to get to the line, try to take as many free opportunities as you can, especially when you know you don't have the height advantage.
You might be getting on the line, but you can't stray away from the ball movement there. Edward Sanchez was open up top. Capurro luckily gets to the free throw line, but that was a tough shot that Dominican will live with. Capurro shooting 62.5% this tournament. Takes about 4 a game. Grabs his own offensive board. Rivera. Capurro going to take the mid-range jump shot. Way off the mark.
And Moncayo was calling for the ball again. You mentioned Sanchez was calling for another possession. Capurro has to find his teammates.
Bonilla down to Soriano. 1 dribble. Finds Rubel. Baseline. Not a great pass there, but they still keep possession. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Bonilla trying to take it himself. He had Frank open up top. He takes the floater. Can't hit. Soriano with the offensive board again, and he powers himself in and banks it off glass.
That's going to be huge for the Dominican. If he can become if he can get offensive boards all game long, it's going to be tough for Ecuador to stay in this game.
Michael Moncayo. Off-ball screen coming for Edward Sanchez. Quinones can't fight over the screens. Capurro. Spin. Finds the open Moncayo for 3. And he drains it. Michael Moncayo. All tournament long, he's been draining those.
And we saw Capurro not pass the ball in those previous possessions. On there, he found the open man, and it's a successful play for Ecuador.
Rubel finds Frank. Frank takes it in hard. And he gets the floater and the foul. Alonzo Frank gonna head to the line. Try to complete the 3-point play.
And how is Ecuador going to stop that? Like, I don't see how they have the bodies that can really stop Frank if he gets aggressive and in the paint.
That's got to be Frank's mindset. He can't settle for the 3s outside unless he's way open, but he's going to have easy layups in the paint almost every time.
And we saw him make a jumper earlier, which is good for him because we know he can shoot. But I mentioned yesterday that in a game like this, just get aggressive. He's clearly the strongest guy on the court.
He's off the mark on there, and the ref's a little confusion there, not realizing that it's just a 1-shot foul. But everything's sorted out. Ecuador will take it out of bounds. Moncayo picks up his dribble. Edward Sanchez, you know he's got a great shot, but he's off the mark there. Here comes Rubel taking it in transition. He was outnumbered smartly, pulls back. Alonzo Frank grabs the screen. Alonzo, tight pass to Quinones, and he banks in. Tough layup there by Lester Quinones.
And what a beautiful pass by Rubel. That was a tight window. That's not an easy pass to make for the Dominican.
Edward Sanchez. Moncayo guarded by Rubel. Vera. Moncayo gonna let it fly again. Off the front of the iron. Soriano with another rebound. Here comes Quinones, a deadly three-point shooter. Oh, beautiful pass. Soriano. Oh, Frank from the outside. Can't hit. Here comes Moncayo in transition. Michael Moncayo gonna take it himself. Sanchez. Off the mark.
And that's usually Sanchez's spot, that mid-range shot. I think it's been interesting with both teams, the Dominican really attacking the inside. That's where they've been getting all their points. Ecuador, 2 threes. They're really looking for outside opportunities. I think height has to take a little bit in play on the way both these teams are playing.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be such a big game for Kenning Rivera here. He's got to step up. Moncayo, too much space. A rare miss there with that much space. And back comes Dominican. Lester Quinones. Oh, wide open Frank. One dribble, no mistake about it. Uses the rim as protection.
Great look by the Dominican to get Frank an open shot. And again, there's nothing that Ecuador can do on that possession.
12-6, almost halfway through this first quarter. Moncayo taking it himself. Almost an and one there, but he's going to head to the line for 2.
And Moncayo has been taking threes his entire game so far. That was really his first time getting into the paint and trying to create something, and he's going to get 2 free throw shots for his effort. Moncayo, he's got all 7 points for Ecuador right now. Down by 5, we'll see if he can cut it to 4, and he does.
Up the court now comes the Dominican. Alonzo Frank. Down low to Soriano. Jump hook, and he puts it in. Joel Soriano off to a hot start tonight.
And we mentioned how important he's going to be for the Dominican if they want to win this game. He's already got 6 points. He's got 5 rebounds already.
Capurro takes it up strong and puts it in over Soriano. Eric Capurro. Corella up with the ball, getting a high screen from Soriano. Corella gonna take it himself. Can't put it in off glass. Back comes Ecuador. Brandon Valle. Sanchez, blocked by Alonzo Frank. Great hustle there by Frank. Moncayo for 3, and he puts it in.
What a response by Ecuador. The huge block by Frank, but it doesn't matter because Moncayo wide open in the corner. More likely than not, he's gonna make that shot.
Lester Quinones out of St. Benedict School in New York. Corella. They hold it in. Corella up top now. Frank calling for it, but Corella gonna take it himself. Crossover in the lane, takes it strong. Can't finish. Quinones gonna head to the line. Hustling for that offensive rebound.
And they really haven't been looking for Quinones a lot in this game so far. Now he's an opportunity at 2 free throws. As we take a look on the other side of the court, Alonzo Frank hustling, making the block for the Dominican, but it still ended up turning out pretty okay for Ecuador.
Alonzo Frank, a known defender, but his offensive game is well known. His all-around game is pretty defined. David Jones in the game now for the Dominican.
And David Jones, he was playing really well in those first 3 games for the Dominican, and then yesterday they expected a little bit more from him, and he didn't give it to the Dominican Republic, so expect him to come out a little hot, maybe try to make up for his performance yesterday.
Capurro, Dominican playing a little bit harder defense now, beating him at half court. Kenning Rivera with the screen. Capurro with some space. Crossover and loses the ball. Back comes Quinones. Lester Quinones. Hand off to David Jones. Thinks twice about shooting. Soriano pulls back. Alonzo Frank in the post. Spin. Great defense by Rivera. David Jones, wide open three. Off the mark. Here comes Ecuador. Edward Sanchez gets a screen from, ooh, a rare air ball there for Edward Sanchez off a hard screen from Kenny Rivera.
And that was a nice look for him, so I'm surprised that that was the shot that we ended up seeing. But again, you mentioned Rivera. That was a nice, hard pick by him. And on the other side, we saw Frank try to post up. We saw a quick double team on him, so maybe that's the key to get him kind of, not to get him going, but to stop him from keeping it.
And out of that, Alonzo Frank's got to pass it out of the post. Soriano. Michael Moncayo, one-on-one with Corella, takes it himself, and he puts it in, no call there. Puro with the great sportsmanship helping him up.
And it seems like Ecuador is kind of figuring out Dominican's game plan. They're trying to post up Soriano or Frank almost every possession, and now they're starting to take their pocket, essentially.
Lester Quinones. Quinones, tight dribbles, finds Corella, can't handle the ball. He had an open shot there. Corella, crossover in the lane, taking it himself. Beautiful scoop layup off the glass.
Great recovery, especially off that bad pass. You probably think he had a wide open shot, so why not take it himself?
Kenny Rivera loses the ball. Not much of a ball handler. Michael Moncayo. Brandon Valles gives him 8.5 points off the bench. Great spark plug for him. He's going to take the mid-range jump shot, and he's off the mark. And back comes Lester Quinones and the Dominican Republic. Quinones. He wants to go isolation with him. Pass to Frink. Soriano in the post. No double team coming. Off the ball foul there on Mateo Moncayo on Lester Quinones, a hold.
I like what I saw there, though, because they tried to post up Soriano, and instead of going for the double team, Capurro stayed with Frink, because if he ended up going for the double, Frink would have been wide open in an easy basket.
Coming back into the game now is Bonilla for Lester Quinones. That's Antonio Bonilla Jr. Corella. Looking for a screen from Soriano. David Jones. Nice bank shot there when he drove baseline. 20 to 15 now for the Dominican, winding down this first quarter. Capurro taking it himself. Can't finish under the rim. Rivera should just put it up there, but Capurro finishes up and cleans it.
And it seems like Ecuador is kind of matching everything that the Dominican's doing right now. We expected Ecuador and Dominican to play hard, especially because we know that it is for your country, despite this not being the semifinals. And I think I'm pretty happy with what we've seen so far.
Corella to Frink. Oh, beautiful power move there by Alonzo Frink. Frink now up to 8 points in this first quarter. Mateo Moncayo getting a screen from Rivera. Finds Rivera in the low post. Trying to hook it, and he does over Alonzo Frink. 3-point game now, 1 minute left in this opening quarter. Bonilla. Zoe Frank throwing into Soriano. Defense doesn't collapse. There he goes. The hook. Nice cleanup there by David Jones.
And David Jones, who didn't play great yesterday, it seems like he's making up for it. He already has 4.
Puro gonna take it himself. Great ball denial there. Capurro, one-on-one with Alonzo Frink. Crossover, spin. Frink playing him beautifully, but he draws the foul. Aaron Capurro, uber aggressiveness tonight.
And that's a tough guy to go against, Alonzo Frink. And Capurro, that's his second time that he's gone to the line after going against Alonzo Frink. He's seen nice spin move. Frink played it well, just at the end, a little too much contact. Capurro's gonna get 2 opportunities at the line. He missed his first 2 though, so let's see if he can kind of rewrite that mistake.
I think you might have jinxed him there, Joe.
What can I say?
And he hits the second. 1 of 4 now from the line. That might come back to haunt them later in the game. 16 seconds left. Are they going to hold for the last shot? A wide open Corella. He doesn't take it. Torres blocked. It's going to stay Dominican ball with 7.5 seconds left in this opening quarter.
He should have taken that shot, but that was a great recovery by by Ecuador, because he was wide open inside. Good hustle to get back at it.
Inbound now, Corella, Zoe Frink. Alonzo Frink drives it, and he's blocked at the buzzer. Great collapse of the defense there by Ecuador. And you see Kenning Rivera hobbling. He injured that ankle yesterday. We'll see how it is.
And Alonzo Frink, I love the aggressiveness, getting inside the paint, not settling for a shot. But Rivera, we mentioned how big he can be, and I think Capurro also got involved. You can see he maybe hurt his ankle again. Hopefully he's okay, because they're going to need him the rest of the way.
It's 24-20 after one. 24-20, we'll be back with the second quarter in just a minute.
Niagara, acres of vineyards and the award-winning wines of the Niagara College Teaching Winery. Craft beer from the Niagara College Teaching Brewery. Fresh farm-to-table cuisine from Benchmark Restaurant. Savor Canada's most unique learning experience at the internationally renowned Canadian Food and Wine Institute at Niagara College.
And we're back, just getting you ready for the second quarter. What you see in that first quarter, Joe?
Well, I saw a lot of effort by both teams, and that was one of the things that we were worrying about going into this game. We don't know how they're going to come out, especially after losses yesterday. Those games were to qualify the World Cup, especially for a team like Dominican that has higher expectations than Ecuador. What are we going to see for them coming out? And I like what so far it seems like Alonzo Frink's been just as aggressive as he was yesterday. As you see, 8 points. And on the flip side, Macayo, 13 of Ecuador's 20. I think Rivera's been good on the glass, and maybe getting a guy like Edward Sanchez a little bit more involved on offense.
Yeah, he's known to have hot starts. Let's see if he can continue it into the second quarter and the rest of the game. They need him if they want to pull out this victory and secure their first win of this tournament.
And we've seen Ecuador, they were up 9 at one point against Argentina in the group stages. They were up 17 against Chile at halftime. They've clearly had opportunities to win games in this tournament. It seems like once the second half hits, they start to falter. So Ecuador, I think the key for them is consistency. Play well throughout the entire game. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, and I'd second that, but if I was Ecuador's coach, I'd play more of the bench, because you see in the second half they get fatigued and they start to slow down. Brandon Valle taking himself, finds Moncayo. He's going to let it fly, and he's going to drain it from the outside. Michael Moncayo up to 16 points now in this first half, and we just started the second quarter.
And right when he shot it, it looked like it was going in right from the get-go. So Moncayo, he already had a great first quarter, starting the second quarter just the way he started this game.
David Jones up top looking for a screen from Torres. Moncayo fighting over that screen. Jones going to hit it. He can't make the shot, I should say, and back comes Brandon Valle. Valle crossover, foul, and he puts it in, but they're calling it on the floor. Ecuador's not happy about that.
You can definitely debate that call, but right now Valles is one of those guys that you mentioned coming off the bench. You need some of those guys, and he's one of them. Nice move there.
I don't know about that. That looked like he picked up his dribble. That should have been 2.
I agree.
Kenning Rivera, he has a lane. He doesn't take it. He settles for the jump shot, makes it anyways. Kenning Rivera.
That's one of those shots, if he misses it, we scratch our head, what was he thinking? But he made it, so really, who cares?
Dominican now with the ball. David Jones looking for another high ball screen from Torres. Vanilla, Alonzo Frink, double team in the post. Gonna take it anyways. Great defense by the Ecuadorian squad.
I love what we're seeing from Ecuador right now. They're playing hard on defense. They're taking good shots on offense. Well, maybe not that shot by Rivera, but still, they're playing really well, and it's kind of what we expected, especially with how they've been starting all these games.
Alonzo Frink blocked again. And they're calling it the other way now. Alonzo Frink's got to be frustrated with himself there.
I think these next couple of minutes are going to be really important for Ecuador, because if you can kind of create a lead going into the final 5 or 4 minutes of the second quarter, you'll build some confidence, and maybe that's what they need going into the second half to kind of keep their game going.
Capurro. Michael Moncayo. Mateo getting some off-ball screens here. Dominican fighting over the screens well. Kenning Rivera, Moncayo. Oh, turnover there. David Jones. David Jones has a seam, finger roll, and the foul.
And if you're Ecuador, maybe that's one of those plays that you just have to let David Jones take, because it seemed like he was going to be going in no matter what, especially with an athlete like Jones. You know he's going to pick up the pace. He has speed, and just a little too much contact at the end there, a lot of unnecessary contact. And now he's an opportunity at 3.
Right, a silly foul there as David Jones misses, but on the other end, a rare turnover there by Michael Moncayo. Moncayo, I should say. Moncayo now, Mateo, that is. Mateo in the lane, floater off glass, in and out. Here comes the Dominican, pushing the pace. Corella, Alonzo Frink, wide open 3. Way off the mark there, he's shaking his head.
It's going to stay Dominican ball and for Alonzo Frink. I know it's a wide open shot, and I know he can shoot. I just don't really think that's his game. But on the flip side, it was wide open, and I'm not going to blame him for taking that shot.
Corella off the ball. One dribble, pull up, in and out. Brandon Valle recovers the ball. And back comes Ecuador. Mateo Moncayo gonna let it fly from the corner, and he puts it in. Mateo Moncayo. And they regain the lead now, 28-26. About 2.5 minutes into the second quarter. Up top now, Torres going for screen. Corella doesn't answer the 3 back, but Torres with a big rebound. Another missed 3 by Dominican, but another offensive board. Ecuador's coach cannot be happy right now. Corella taking it himself. And it's gonna go back to Ecuador finally.
And for the Dominican, you had so many opportunities to score on that possession, and for you to get 0 points, it's gotta be tough for them.
Brandon Valle gonna take it up for the Ecuadorian squad. Moncayo. Off-ball screen action coming for Valle. Brandon Valle. Wide open Mateo Moncayo, and he puts it in, second straight 3. Starting to catch him fire now.
It was Michael Moncayo who was hot in the first quarter. Now it's Mateo Moncayo with 2 threes. He's hot in the second.
And just like that, they take a 5-point lead. David Jones spinning, beautiful move, and he puts it off glass. David Jones, great showing of athleticism there.
What a great play by David Jones, taking it in himself. He's got 8 now, shooting 4 for 6 from the field. Very efficient basketball.
Valle, D3, and he gets the lucky roll. Hey, shooters shoot. Sometimes they get the shooter's roll.
It just seems every single time in the first half, Ecuador just shoots the ball so well. It's really surprising to me.
Taking it himself. Finds Torres. Torres gonna take it in the lane. Stripped. Torres banks it in. Michael Moncayo now. 4-point lead for Ecuador. Off-ball screen coming for Valle. Valle taking it strong. He's gonna head to the line for 2. Aggression. That's been the theme for Ecuador this half.
And I think it's really important that they're getting to the line because, especially with the height advantage, maybe the refs kind of know that because they're smaller, they're going to get bodied a little bit more. Those fouls might be coming a little bit easier for them. So maybe, even though we would assume that the height advantage is obviously Dominican, there's still some advantages that Ecuador can take.
And Valle hits the first. And he hits the second. It's a 6-point lead, and that is the largest lead of the night for Ecuador. Rubel, Quinones can hit from anywhere, and he pulls up. They can't finish that time. Brandon Valle. Capurro grabs the ball. Eric Capurro had a hot start. 1-on-1 with Lester Quinones. Capurro And he's going to head to the line for 2, and he earns it once again.
Ecuador just continuing to be aggressive in the paint, getting to the free throw line. That's so important for them, especially because we know that they struggle to play in the second half. But if they get opportunities at the line like they're about to get for Aaron Capurro, it's going to be able to keep them in this game.
Now he's just got to hit him, which he does not there.
I think you're the jinx this time.
Maybe so. Maybe I should just be quiet. Oh, I guess I'm not the jinx, Joe. Back comes Dominican the other way. Capurro now struggling from the line, only 1 of 6 on the game. That could come back to haunt them. Quinones. Screen now, Quinones finds the open Bonilla, way off there. Rubel, floater, puts it in. Nice shot there by Rubel.
It's a tough shot with the shot clock going down. So that's big for the Dominican to get some points on a possession that didn't look like anything was going their way.
But Ecuador's got to be happy with that late shot clock. Tough shot. They can live with that. Brandon Ballet, once again, being aggressive. Tough shot. That would have been a tough make. Here comes Rubel. Rubel taking it strong, puts it in for the 2nd straight time.
Great hustle by the Dominican, but on that possession there by Ecuador, Valles, I don't think that's a shot you have to take, especially when you're up by, when you're just up in general for Ecuador. I think that maybe you have to kind of get the ball moving a little bit more to give them opportunities to continue to hold this lead.
Moncayo almost puts it in on a tough layup, but Rivera fighting for the offensive board, but Dominican comes away with it. Verplanken got it. Here comes Rafael Rubel. Quinones, baseline, finds Verplanken, and he can't hit. Back comes Ecuador. Edward Sanchez at the scoring table now, looking for more offense, but Valle, Moncayo, one in the lane, Rivera, mid-range, off the front of the iron, and back comes Dominican. Lester Quinones. Screen, Quinones pulls up, off the mark. Yesterday shooting 5 for 7 from 3-point range, 0 for 2 to start the game.
And it seems like the Dominican are getting really cold behind the line.
Valle gonna let it fly. Off the mark once again, and Quinones comes down with the board. Lester Quinones. Behind the back. In the lane, Corella can hit. Sorry, Hersame. Correction there.
And Hirasme, he played 0 minutes yesterday for the Dominican, getting an opportunity here in the 2nd quarter. An easy basket. One thing that I've noticed, they brought Soriano back in. He was bringing in a lot of effort early in that 1st quarter, getting offensive rebound, second chance opportunities. Maybe go at him a little bit, especially with the Dominican getting kind of cold, kind of outside.
Yeah, and just like that, Dominican, a 6-0 run there to tie the game. Let's see what Ecuador does here. We know they're bringing Edward Sanchez into the game, and we'll be right back after this timeout.
Don't miss Niagara College's Spring Open House at our Welland and Niagara-on-the-Lake campuses, March 24th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Experience all that Niagara College has to offer. Visit niagaracollege.ca/open house for more details.
Team just getting set to hit the floor again. If you're Dominicans, coach, you got to be happy. See that? It's not just Frink and Quinones getting all the points tonight. Seems like they're sharing the ball more, and it's been a key to their success so far.
And we mentioned Jones and Soriano at the top of the broadcast, and they've showed up and played well for the Dominican. That's what really killed them yesterday against Argentina. Even though Frink and Quinones played so well, you can't win in this tournament with only 2 players. And I think their depth is starting to show a little bit more in this game. For Ecuador, though, they have to be happy with where they are tied in this game.
Moncayo. Off-ball screen action coming for Edward Sanchez. He grabs it up top. Sanchez, beautiful bounce pass to Rivera. He can't finish. Quinones getting on the block. Capurro off the mark there. He was wide open. Can't lose chances like that. And back comes Quinones in the Dominican Republic. Great passing. Soriano, one dribble, and he puts it in. That could have been a foul as well.
Soriano getting a little bit more involved now. He's got 8 points for the Dominican.
Michael Moncayo being guarded heavily there by Corella. Edward Sanchez looking for a screen from Rivera. Spin, jump shot. Not a great shot there. Quinones saves it. Great hustle by the Dominican Republic. Rafael Rubel. Up top to Lester Quinones. Lester Quinones, a 6'5" shooting guard out of New York.
2 minutes, less than 2 minutes left in the first half.
Oh, tough shot there. Edward Sanchez, Michael Moncayo, not a great pass there, but somehow they come away with it. Michael Moncayo thought about pulling up there. He does now from the mid-range, and he banks it in. Michael Moncayo, did he call that, Joe?
I think he did, and I think for Edward Sanchez, who almost turned the ball over on the other side and took kind of a silly shot on the other possession, I think he needs to play a little bit better. I know he likes getting his shot, but I think he needs to start passing to his teammates.
Rafael Rubel, near turnover there. Got to pay more attention, especially with the defender like Michael Moncayo, who's a ball hawk. Lester Quinones up at the top. About a minute 20 left in this first half. It's been tightly contested. And a moving screen there. And it'll go back to the Ecuadorian team.
And that's the last thing you want for the Dominican. It seemed like you were starting to get some momentum on the offensive side to turn the ball over after Moncayo just hit a big shot for Ecuador. You don't want momentum to shift again.
Edward Sanchez, Capurro, space, lane, tough shot. Great defense there by Quinones and Soriano. Here comes the Dominican. Quinones. Lester Quinones taking it himself and can't finish. They're calling a block there. Late call there.
It was a late call in for Quinones. I like that he's getting aggressive on that play. He's only shot 3 shots before that play. So for him to get to the line now, he'll get himself going. He started early making a basket and getting to the line. I think it's for him to start getting a little bit more involved, and that'll get the Dominican back in this game.
Ooh.
And I don't know about that.
He looked in position. Ecuador can't be happy about that. Another timeout here. Stars have been playing a lot of minutes for Ecuador.
And we kind of saw in the second quarter, they got a little cold. They started hot in the first quarter, beginning of the second, but they were up by 6 at one point, and they couldn't make their shots anymore, taking unnecessary baskets early in the shot clock, and that got the Dominican back in this game. Obviously, size, as you can see, top rebounders, Soriano and Quinones, 5 and 4 apiece.
.38. This last minute or so is going to be big for both these teams. You want to gain momentum going into the half in order to pull it out.
And if you're Ecuador, you're happy no matter what the score is, unless they really blow it out the water in this last minute for Dominican. But I think the key for them, and we've been saying this so many times, is once the second half starts, they have to play the same way that they played in the first.
Two free throws now coming for Quinones as we get set out of this timeout. Mr. Quinones, only 4 points, but 8 rebounds tonight. Not the tallest guy on the court, but he's working for those boards. And he makes both, and they take a 2-point lead. Coming into the game is David Jones. Harasmi will come out of the game. That's for the Dominican. Oh, Quinones. A near steal there. Ecuador's got to be more aware of the inbounds.
And those are the type of plays that can really dig you into a hole, especially they're up by 2 by the Dominican. That could have been 2 easy points.
Mateo Moncayo going to pull up. Obviously looking for a 2-for-1 there, but they had some time. Dominican now, they're going to slow it down. They're not going to go for the 2-for-1 with 40 seconds left in this first half. They just want a good shot. Quinones grabbing a screen from Soriano. Quinones, oh, tough shot there, but he floats it in. Back the other way comes Ecuador. You think that they want to slow it down for one shot here, and a bad pass there. Rafael Rubel comes away with it. Quinones, nice, off the glass. Just like that, 4 quick points there. Ecuador can hold for the last shot. 44-38. Capurro. Not a great play there at the end of the half. Ecuador's coach cannot be happy with how they ended that half. But Dominican, on the other hand, 6 quick points there. The free throws, and then Quinones.
And it was all getting inside the paint for Quinones. We saw he wasn't really being aggressive. He wasn't looking for a shot early or late in the first, early in the second. And right there, in just a minute, all it takes is a minute for him to get going. And I said, unless the Dominican kind of blows it up in that final minute, Ecuador should be happy. That was literally the last thing they wanted to see going into halftime.
And a huge momentum boost there. Quinones already flirting with the double-double, 10 and 8, heading into the half. Got to be happy with that.
And you can see Capurro and Rivera play 20 minutes in that first half. That's all the minutes, so they literally are just playing the entire game. Michael Moncayo, he's not going to be far behind them, so we mentioned how much the starters played. We saw Sanchez played a little bit more off the bench. He only got 10 minutes in that first half for Ecuador, but they're going to need their starters to play big in that second half.
Yeah, and you see here, just the overall free throws could be the difference. Ecuador only hitting half of them. They've been to the line 10 times. Think about that. That's 5 points. It could be a 1-point game right now.
And one thing I saw there, the Dominican Republic 0 for 11 from the 3-point line. They are ice cold, but they're attacking inside, and with height, really, you might not really need to shoot the 3 all that well to win this game.
And turnovers about even. The defensive stats are.
One surprising thing I saw there, 4-2 in blocks for Ecuador. With the height that they have, you wouldn't expect that to be the case. And for Ecuador, I know they're down by 6 and didn't finish that half well, but it's only a 6-point game, plenty of time to get back in it.
And Quinones did not have maybe the most shots that he would like to take in the first half. I expect him to have a pretty decent second half and try to close out Ecuador.
He's nearing a double-double already, 8 rebounds and 10 points. If he gets aggressive in that second half, it's going to be tough for Ecuador to stop him.
And Joel Soriano speaks for itself tonight. 4 of 6, 8 points. Yesterday, 0 for 1, no points.
And I know we've been hard on him throughout this tournament, and the only reason is because we expect a lot from him.
Right. 44-38. We'll be back with the second half in just a minute.
matters there, and he's denied by Justice.
Come on now!
Ball now into the hands of Hammond, feeds it into Benny with a two-handed hammer jam.
Chile survived!
That's how the motherfucker.
This crowd is going to be loud here. They really get behind the team.
World Cup qualifiers were meant to bring basketball home to the home nations.
What a play that is!
Right, that's what it means.
Great win for the Uruguayans.
Niagara. Acres of vineyards and the award-winning wines of the Niagara College Teaching Winery. Craft beer from the Niagara College Teaching Brewery. Fresh farm-to-table cuisine from Benchmark Restaurant. Savor Canada's most unique learning experience at the internationally renowned Canadian Food and Wine Institute at Niagara College.
And we're back for the second half here. Just starting up the first game of the day, the semifinals day, obviously, but consolation rounds continue between the Dominican and Ecuador. Joe, what you see in that first half?
Well, I think it's been contrasting with the way the two teams have been scoring. The Dominican Republic 0 for 11 from the three-point line, as opposed to Ecuador. They've been shooting the three ball at an extremely high rate, and that's what they kind of need, especially with their height disadvantage. Michael Moncayo, he's been their guy, 4 for 6 from the three, so not even that he's shooting the ball well from behind the three-point line, he's shooting it efficiently. I think Ecuador, they have to be happy with their outside shooting, but they need to be a little bit more disciplined. We didn't really see that at the end of that second quarter.
Yeah, you're right, and we'll see if they can keep it up in the second half. We know Moncayo usually has great first halves, but teams figure him out in the second half, and we'll see what he can bring to the table now.
And we mentioned fatigue could become an issue. A ton of their players played almost the entire second half. Only 2 guys coming off the bench. They played well, though. Mateo Moncayo and Valles, they both played well. They had 11 points total. So for Ecuador, they got a little bit from their bench, but they're going to need a little bit more team-oriented basketball if they want to win this game and keep up with the Dominican.
And they need more points from Edward Sanchez, coming into this game averaging about 13 points. And he laid a goose egg in that first half. So I don't expect him to stay off the scoreboard the whole game. And let's see if he can bring an impact.
I do think for Edward Sanchez, he needs to focus on moving the ball around, especially if his shot isn't going in. We've seen some players in this tournament not play well and continue to shoot the ball. I think that's not the right option.
Yeah, and speaking of playing well, Alonzo Frank has played well throughout this whole tournament. The team just hasn't really pulled out the victories, and we'll see if they can now, heading into the second half with a 6-point lead. Alonzo Frank last game, 27 points, and tonight, 8 points already. He's a big-time player, and he can get it done from the outside and inside.
And I think what's important for him in this half is to get aggressive, get in the paint. See, right here, there's just nothing that Ecuador can do on that plate. He's just too strong of a body. And for Alonzo Frank, they're going to need him to keep playing at a high level. We saw Quinones, their other star player, play well at the end of the second half, or at the end of the second quarter. So now going into the second half, expect Frank, and there it is, a great defensive play on that side. They might need a lot more of that as well.
And I think Frank has to call for the ball more. It's not just about the teammates finding him. He's got to be aggressive with it. You know, he's got to get it in the post and power his way in, because like we've been saying the whole game, he is stronger than everyone. All 6'8" of him, 215 pounds.
And if he keeps getting aggressive and getting into the paint, eventually the help defense is going to have to come in, and that's going to get open opportunities on the outside. One of the reasons why they're 0 for 11 from 3 is they haven't really gone in great looks.
And that's when we'll see the greatness of Alonzo Frank, if he can show it, if he can pass out of the post, because every big man that is great will get a double team, and it's a matter of if he can find the open man.
Absolutely. Or if he could just finish strong despite the double team, and I know he's capable of doing that. We saw it a couple times against Argentina yesterday, and with the bodies on Ecuador, he definitely can do it today.
Yeah, I definitely don't expect Lester Quinones to go 0 for 2 from three-point line, or the Dominican to go for 0 for 11. They have too good of shooters on their team to stay cold the whole game.
And if you're Ecuador, settle down. I know you didn't finish that first half strong, but you showed a lot in that first half. You've shown a lot in this tournament. I know they haven't pulled together a complete game yet, but this is your opportunity right now, down 6, to start strong, start fast, and make sure you give everything you have in this third quarter.
We know there's scouts in here looking at these teams, but it's about pride now for both of these teams, because we know the gold medal is out of reach, but these consolation wins mean something. You know, you're putting the world on notice, especially for Ecuador being the first time in this tournament. They got nothing to lose.
And if you play like you have nothing to lose, I think that's only going to bring positives to Ecuador. The Dominican's going to start this half off with the ball. Let's see if they can maybe play some strong defense. They get it going for them.
Rafael Rubel will inbound to Corella, and the second half is underway. 44-38 for the Dominican. Right off the back, Corella, too easy. Ecuador cannot be happy about that.
And that's the way you want to start if you are the Dominican, to attack inside, maybe get someone else going to open the court for Quinones or Frank.
High ball screen coming for Capurro. Sanchez. Michael Moncayo. Turnover there, Rafael Rubel. Quinones can't finish, but there's Joel Soriano on the follow.
Great follow by Soriano, and this is not the start you wanted if you're Ecuador. We know about their second half struggles. Not a great start.
And just like that, it's up to a double-digit lead. 10 points, the highest point total of the game for both teams, 10 points.
It's going to be a turnover on Ecuador, 3 straight possessions that they cannot be happy with.
Rafael Rubel, inbound to Quinones now. High ball screen coming for him. Soriano sets it. Frink. Nice pass to Rafael Rubel. Great ball movement by Dominican. Doesn't finish off how they wanted it to. Here comes Aaron Capurro the other way. Capurro taking it in strong. And that's a charge all the way. Quinones sacrificing his body for the sake of the team.
And we mentioned that this isn't the semifinals, but they're still playing strong, they're still playing hard, and Quinones, a guy that has 9 offers to play in the NCAA next year, you know people are going to be watching, and they want to make sure that he's a guy that's going to play hard no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation is.
He's put the world on notice of his offensive game, but defensively he's been playing great all tournament. Frank tries to throw it down, but he's going to head to the line for 2 as Daniel Sanchez fouls him.
And the aggressiveness by Alonzo Frank is only going to lead positive results for the Dominican Republic. He's going to get 2 opportunities at the free throw line. Not a great free throw shooter, but he's still capable of making them.
Hits the first. And on the other end, Ecuador's they need a basket, and quick. They can't let this game get out of hand. It's been the story for them all tournament. The second half has not treated them well.
And a guy like Michael Moncayo, who had 18 points in the first half, we've seen him go cold in the second. He's a guy that's going to lead the charge, and he's the whole reason why they play so well early on.
And another unerrant turnover. Rivera stepped in, then stepped out before he passed the ball.
3 turnovers in the first half for Ecuador, already 3 turnovers in the third.
Soriano finds Quinones. Soriano in the post, one-on-one against Kenning Rivera. Soriano, nice pass to Frank, and he can't finish the dunk. Good idea, though. Quinones one-on-one with Edward Sanchez. Soriano in the post again. Joel Soriano is poked away. Frank, almost a turnover there. Rafael Rubel's gonna let it fly. Air ball, shot clock violation there, and it'll go back to Ecuador.
And maybe that's the stop that Ecuador needs to maybe build some momentum in this third quarter. Still scoreless with 1.5 minutes into the third.
They're playing full court press now. That could affect Ecuador, but they get it over the line. Daniel Sanchez to Edward Sanchez. Edward Sanchez gets a hard screen there. Capurro hits the 3, and they needed that. They bring it into single digits now, 50-41.
That's a massive 3 for Ecuador, cutting it to 9, maybe building some momentum. Capurro, he's not a great 3-point shooter, but he can hit it.
Oh, Corella getting in the teeth of the defense and laying it off glass. He's looking for the foul. Edward Sanchez can't complain about the foul too much. Ecuador's coming down the other way. Sanchez pulls up, and he drains it. His first basket of the game. He's got to be relieved.
And for Sanchez, I mentioned that maybe looking at other opportunities on the court if you didn't find your shot. But if he does find his shot, that's going to be huge for Ecuador.
Soriano. One dribble, lose the ball. Quinones, he's going to let it fly. Off the mark again. That's 0 for 12 from, 0 for 13 now from 3-point range. Sanchez thinks twice about shooting. Pulls up to the mid-range. Can't hit 2 in a row. Rivera, Capurro, Daniel Sanchez from the mid-range. Off the mark there. He's got to hit that one. Back comes Alonzo Frank. Bad pass there, and that's going to be a backcourt violation for the Dominican. Ecuador's got to take advantage of these silly turnovers.
And one thing for Ecuador that I've liked what I saw so far is from Kenning Rivera. We mentioned how big he has to be with the height disadvantage. He's got 11 rebounds already, so he's at least making his mark inside the paint.
Off the ball foul there on Quinones. Quinones and Capurro talking a little bit there. Now Quinones putting his hands behind his back, sort of maybe mocking the ref there. Let's see if Capurro takes exception to that. Michael Moncayo finds Daniel Sanchez. He's got to be more aggressive with that one. He's got to go up. Rafael Rubel. Frink, Euro step. The big man showing his athleticism but cannot finish. Back comes Ecuador. Edward Sanchez. Capurro finishes strong off glass.
Couple baskets in a row now for Ecuador. It was already a double-digit lead, now cut back to 7. It seems like they've started to find their groove again.
Rafael Rubel. 1-on-1 with Michael Moncayo. High ball screen coming. Joel Soriano gonna set it. Rubel. Frink gonna let it fly. Still ice cold from 3-point range, but Rafael Rubel can't finish on the offensive glass. Back comes Ecuador. Sanchez loses the ball nearly. Moncayo. Powerful move, can't finish, tough shot. Frink saves it. Rivera gets it. Edward Sanchez, shot fake, mid-range gets to a spot, and he puts it in just like that. Edward Sanchez.
And now Ecuador making a run on their own. It's now down to 5. The Dominican, they're being a little sloppy on the offensive side. They've had a couple of easy opportunities. Frink wide open 3. Offensive rebound, couldn't finish it at all.
High ball screen coming again. Quinones. Rafael Rubel. And finally they hit a 3-point shot. And if they can get that going, it's a scary thing for the Ecuadorian team. Oh, almost pokes it away. And a backcourt violation. Capurro is calling for a foul there. It's been an interesting one-on-one matchup with Quinones and Capurro. A little bit of talking, their fair share of points tonight.
And Capurro, he was matching up with Frink sometimes in this game, which is clearly a huge disadvantage. But when you're as athletic as you are for Capurro, he's going to have to match up against a lot of guys. And you mentioned him and Quinones going back at it with each other in this third quarter. You can tell there's something going on there.
8-point lead now for Dominican. About halfway through this third quarter. Quinones now one-on-one with Sanchez. Frink, one-on-one in the post against. He's got to take advantage of that. Frink, and he does just that, overpowering the undersized Quierga there.
The only way that Frink misses that shot is if he does something wrong, because Ecuador, there's no better way that you can play that.
Capurro picks up his dribble. Great ball denial there by Rafael Rubel. Double coming now on Sanchez. Tries to split the defenders. Quierga, wide open 3. Way off the mark. That's an air ball.
And that's one of those guys that's coming off the bench, Quierga, for Ecuador, that when he has a shot like that, he's got to make it.
Just like that, Daniel Sanchez is coming back in the game, and Kenning Rivera is going to get a rest now.
There's really no height on the court now for Ecuador. We'll see how they do, especially inside, if the Dominican don't make their shots.
You got to get into Frink right now. Look at that mismatch.
There he
There's a mismatch
is.
against. They find Soriano. Jump hook. No good. Quinones now has a double-double on the game already. Quick pass to Soriano, and he finishes it in there. That was a risky pass. It was tight.
Kenning Rivera, his time on the bench has to be short because they're going to need him real fast.
Big time. Brandon Valle is going to set the check-in. He's at the scorer's table. Michael Moncayo finds Edward Sanchez. One dribble, pull up for the 3. Way off the mark again. Quierga tries to save it. Doesn't. Numbers now for Dominican. Rubel. Not a great fast break there for Dominican. Quinones. Great pass to Soriano, and he finishes off glass. Joel Soriano's been the difference tonight down low.
There's just nobody that can contend with Soriano or Frink on the court right now.
Michael Moncayo finds Daniel Sanchez. Eric Capurro, he's gonna let it fly. Why not? But that's an air ball. Frink One-on-one, Capurro overpowers him, and that's too easy for Alonzo Frink, the South Carolina commit, and Ecuador is going to have to talk it over after that run by the Dominican Republic.
And if you are Ecuador with the players that are on the court right now, really what are you able to do in a situation like that? Frank, who's just going to be a mismatch no matter who you have on him, and then there's even a guy like Soriano. There's just too much height for the Dominican Republic and just not enough on Ecuador right now.
They need Kenning Rivera to play the whole game, but I don't think he physically can. He's just going to be too tired. 63-47 now. We'll be back right after these quick messages. And we're back, getting set to come out of this timeout. Dominican just made a big run there. Let's see what Ecuador can do to answer back. What do you think they can? What do you think they have to do to sort of stay within this game and have a chance to pull it out at the end?
And you mentioned Kenny Rivera has played most of this game, but he needs to be on this court. And I know fatigue's going to be an issue with him, and we can only ask for him to play so many minutes. But it's just going to be offensively. Maybe they can start making those threes that they missed. They missed hard on their last three open possessions, and on the defensive side, there's just not much you can really do with the players that are on the court.
And a big story, it's been the same narrative from Michael Moncayo this whole tournament. He had 18 points in the first half, no points so far, and we only have 3 minutes in the second half. We only have 3 minutes left in this third quarter.
And it doesn't really feel like they're really trying to run anything through him at all. So just try to maybe get an opportunity to give him the ball and take a shot.
I think that's got to be on the coach. And right on cue, Moncayo and he hits the three. Look at that.
And
I guess he heard us.
And you can see, like, running an off-ball screen, getting an open look. He's going to make those shots. He's too good of a player.
Quinona is now being guarded by Moncayo. He's going to pull up. He can't answer back there, but another offensive board for the Dominican. Quinones. Frink throws it down, Alonzo Frink.
For Ecuador, there's just nothing you can do. I've said that 100 times, and there's really nothing else for me to say.
Kenning Rivera at the scorer's table now. They need him down low. Valle one-on-one against Rafael Rubel. Tough shot there. Back comes Dominican. Ecuador feels this one slipping away now. They need a bucket and quick. A 15-point game with about 2 minutes left in this third quarter. Edward Sanchez, one-on-one with Frink. He's got the mismatch. Great defense there by Frink. Valle can't hit the three. And somehow Michael Moncayo, the undersized guard, comes away with it. Finds Sanchez. Step back three. Over the outstretched hand of Alonzo Frink.
If there's one way to get back into the game, it's hitting your threes, and Moncayo and Sanchez back-to-back, especially after that hustle by Moncayo to get the steal.
They need a superstar effort by both of those guys. Great ball denial there by Brandon Valle. Here comes Ecuador back the other way. Moncayo off the mark there, but Eric Capurro right there to finish it off. And that's just a product of bad transition defense by the Dominican Republic. They got to get back.
And the Dominican, I think maybe they felt like their lead was too much and they were kind of slacking, get a little complacent. They need to play hard on every single possession.
Just like that, a quick 5-0 run brings them back within 10. But a wide open three, he stepped out of bounds. Not great awareness there. That's Steven Verplanken. Got to be more aware of where he is on the court, and just like that, he's going to be subbed out. Coach has a short leash on his players today.
Kenny Rivera is back in the game for Ecuador. That's going to be huge for them on the defensive side. I love the heart, though, by Ecuador to stay and keep themselves in this game. They didn't give up. It felt like the game was starting to run away from them, but just like that, they're kind of right back in it.
Sanchez. Same play they ran last time. Edward Sanchez is going to take it hard to the hole this time, and he banks it off glass. It's now a single-digit lead. Timeout called by the Dominican Republic. 7-0 run there coming down at the end of this quarter. That's exactly what they need to build momentum going into the final quarter.
This is the best they've played in the second half so far in this tournament. I know they started really slow in the third, but this is a run that we really didn't see at all in the first 4 games that they played. So this is huge for Ecuador. This is an opportunity for them to go into the fourth quarter in a game that's actually plausible that they can win.
They're showing a lot of heart. They've cut it within single digits. We'll see if they can continue it right after this.
They work in this mature materials lab here. They program robots, all stuff that's totally applicable to industry.
We're back with about 55 seconds left in this third quarter. Dominican needs a bucket now and a stop to build momentum going into the final quarter, because Ecuador has got on their high horse and went on a quick 7-0 run there.
And we saw in the second quarter the way they ended that half. In 1 minute, Quinones 6 points, 2 from the free throw line. Maybe get a little bit more aggressive. They were kind of undisciplined on a couple possessions. Alonzo Frink, an easy basket he could have made, but instead they turned the ball over. So for the Dominican, just get back to basics, play smart, play disciplined, attack inside, and I think they should be okay.
No full court press here from Ecuador. They're gonna let him take it up. Rafael Rubel, Alonzo Frink. A turnover there, and here comes Ecuador again. Sanchez not happy with Moncayo. He wanted to go to the other end of the floor. Off-ball screen coming. Sanchez, catch and shoot. Off the front of the iron. If they got that one, that would have been huge. Seems Dominican's not going to go for the 2-for-1. They want a good shot here. Hand off to Rubel. Frink, he had some space there. Quinones finds the open Rubel. Active hands there by this Ecuadorian team. Edward Sanchez knocks it out of bounds. 8 seconds left on the shot clock and 20 seconds, 20.5 left in this third quarter. Frink up top. Rubel has some space. Oh, and they needed that one. It's back to a double-digit lead now. 68-57. Ecuador can hold for the last shot of the quarter. A turnover there. Rubel. Great transition defense. 3 seconds left. Quinones has got to go up. Soriano puts it in, and the foul at the end of the quarter.
What a play by Soriano and a great read by Quinones. He easily could have gone up for that, but he saw the open man coming down the court, and now they're going to have an opportunity at a three-point play. We mentioned that at the end of the second quarter how well the Dominican played, and the same thing happened here.
Ecuador can't be happy about that, showing frustration.
And it has to be disheartening, especially because they played so well in those final couple minutes of the third quarter. They were getting right back in it. It was a 7-point lead. But the Dominican, there's just so much size and so much talent that it's going to be tough to play poorly for even 1 minute.
A lot of frustration coming off the Ecuador players and the coaches. They're all heading to the bench there. There's 0.3 seconds left. They have to inbound it to end the quarter. Unless Soriano misses, obviously. Great transition defense there by Capurro, by Quinones. A great pass there. And that'll do it for 3 quarters. 71-57 for Dominican over Ecuador right now. See if Ecuador can answer back in this final quarter.
And we've seen them answer back in this third. And I think for Ecuador, I know it's going to be hard to constantly make big runs to get themselves back in this game, but they just have to continue to compete, play discipline, don't turn the ball over, don't make anything easy for the Dominican Republic, because we've seen the Dominican get a little sloppy for a couple minutes or so, and that's when Ecuador has to make sure that they capitalize.
Definitely easier said than done, but we'll see if they can continue that. Start of the fourth quarter after these quick messages.
Now that's how to mop the floor quickly.
we're back here. Start off the fourth quarter. And just a reminder, there are 3 more games in the day today. Panama versus Chile after this, and then the semifinals tonight. Brandon Valle gets it in. Edward Sanchez now. They can use some scoring from him. Great defense by Quinones. And Frink comes away with the board. It's not the shot that they wanted. Dominican in transition. Quinones, easy jump shot from the mid-range, and they extend their lead once again.
And if he starts to get it going for the Dominican, it's going to be almost impossible for Ecuador to get back in this game.
Aaron Capurro up top now. He's got to get going. Capurro one-on-one with Frink. Frink playing him great one-on-one despite the size advantage. And Quinones comes away with another rebound. That's 12 on the day for Lester Quinones. But an unerring turnover there. Michael Moncoy and Corella talking a little bit there at half court.
I was going to mention Michael Moncayo because we saw him hit that 3 in that third quarter. That's really all he did. He needs to start getting it going, find his rhythm, find his groove, because he's going to start needing to make some shots.
Rubel fell there. Valle puts it in. A little bit of an ankle breaker there before midcourt. See what they run here. Quinones. Bad pass again by Quinones. That's 2 straight turnovers for the high prospect in the States, Lester Quinones.
And this is when Ecuador has to score, because Dominican's giving you opportunities to get back into this game when they turn the ball over like that.
Kenning Rivera, Brandon Valle. One dribble pull up, and he gets the shooter's roll. We saw that. We saw a shot like that from him earlier in the game. Like I said, shooters shoot, and shooters get the shooter's roll every now and then.
And that's 5 straight points for Valles now in this fourth quarter.
He gives them 8.5 per game. And Quinones, too much space for a dead-eye shooter like that. He makes no mistake about it. Hitting his first 3 of the game. That's got to feel good for him. Kenning Rivera. Sanchez calling for the ball. Valle gonna heat check. Way off the mark there. Back comes Quinones and the Dominican. Rubel, he's gonna pull up, and he's gonna miss. And back comes Ecuador. A bad turnover there by Capurro. Alonzo Frink powering in, and he can't get the and one, but he's gonna head to the line for 2.
And for him, he needs to get a little bit more involved on the offense. He kind of quieted down in that third quarter until Kenny Rivera got out. Then he started to make something happen a little bit more on the offensive side. In this fourth quarter, we're expecting Rivera to play, I'm assuming, most of this quarter, so we'll see if he continues to attack.
For Blanken rechecks into the game now. Rubel's gonna come off. A lot of talking going on between Michael Moncoy and Corella. It seems that Corella's doing most of the talking, and the ref came over there to warn him a bit. And Frink hits both. 78-62 now. Edward Sanchez. Rivera gonna take a rare 3, and he can't hit. Back the other way comes Dominican. Quinones, no look pass to Frink, and he can't finish. Technical foul on Alonzo Frink. Not happy with that last play. He thought it was a foul.
With 7:21 left in this game, they're down by 16. A free shot essentially for Michael Moncayo here. They need to start getting it going early because it feels like they're almost playing against the clock as well now.
And Moncayo makes no mistake about it.
Anthony, do you see anything different with Moncayo, the way he plays in the second half compared to the first? Because it's clearly such a different way. He's only scored 4.
I think a big part of that, though, is Corella's defense on him. He's been talking, but he has every right to because he's been locking him down. Here's Sanchez, though. They need some production out of him. One-on-one against Frink over the bigger defender. Tough shot. They can live with that. The Dominican can. Quinones splitting a D and can't finish, but there's Joel Soriano once again on the offensive glass, finishing it up. Back comes the other way. Horrible transition there for Dominican. Rivera gets it in over the outstretched arms of Joel Soriano. It's a 15-point game now. 6:50 left in this final quarter. Ecuador needs a big run here, and quick. Quinones gonna pull up, and he puts it in. Lester Quinones showing off his deep range touch now in this fourth quarter. It's never too late to start going.
And he's got 20 points and 13 rebounds.
Sanchez crossover in the lane. Great defense there by Alonzo Frank. Back comes Verplanken. Verplanken, that's too easy there. It's a 20-point game now. Dominican is starting to run away with it. Michael Moncoya. Screen there. Moncoya taking it himself. Beautiful layup. Beat Corella off the dribble there. Back comes Dominican. Soriano, big time block there by Michael Moncayo. Doing it on both ends of the floor.
And for Michael Moncayo, a couple possessions there in a row, making the basket, then making the defensive play. Maybe can get him going because, like I said earlier, 18-point lead with 6 minutes left. Not a lot of time to really have room for error for Ecuador.
They need a big push here. Pascual can't hit the mid-range jump shot. Over the back. Called on Corella. Sorry, I beg your pardon. That was Torres on the foul. Kenning Rivera. Brandon Valle. Valle gonna take it in strong. Doesn't draw the foul. Great defense there by Pascual. Quinona is taking it up slowly. He wants to kill as much time as he can. Smells blood in the water now. For Plankin. Corella up top. High ball screen coming. He gets it. Mid-range shot. Way off the mark. And there's Michael Moncayo. Michael Moncayo splits the defenders. Finds Capurro. Valle. Off, in and out. And back comes Dominican Republic. Quinones. Torres. Give and go. Finger roll in the lane, and Quinones puts it in. He's been having himself a game. 22 and 15 now.
Especially because he started so slow, and this has almost all been in around 3 quarters work for Quinones.
He's flirting with the triple-double now. Quinones is 20, 15, and 6. We still have just under 5 minutes left in this game. Moncayo, Mateo, that is, he's wide open. He's got to hit that. And back come Dominican. Quinones. Mr. Quinones in the lane, finds for Plankin, puts it in. The Dominican Republic have blown them out of the water right now. They've extended this game, maybe an insurmountable lead.
And for Ecuador, this has kind of been the story of them this entire tournament. But one thing you have to like to see from them is that they always play hard. It's never an easy game if you're facing Ecuador.
And a moving screen there. Corella takes the contact, draws the foul.
What a great game by Quinones, though. You mentioned almost a triple-double, 22, 15, and 7 right now. So impressive. He clearly is the best player on the court.
In only 30 minutes. Corella off the mark. And you see here, Dominicans taking out their best players, Frink and Quinones. They could sense that this game is out of reach. And they're letting their backup players get a little bit of minutes here. Mateo Moncayo. Mateo crossover, step back. Finds his brother, Michael. Screen coming. Michael, step back, 3. Off the mark there. And Kenning Rivera fighting for the boards. Great hustle there. Michael Moncayo. Capurro in the lane. Blocking foul there. They're going to take it out of bounds.
I'm really impressed by the way that the Dominican played today. I know that they were disappointed in their loss yesterday against Argentina. In that game, it was relatively close throughout the game, but they never had the lead. It was almost like they were trying to trail the entire time, making a couple runs. But for them to come out here and play well, play at the expectation level that we expect them to play at, I think that's a good sign for the Dominican, especially going into tomorrow.
And we will see who their opponent will be tomorrow as the result of next game between Chile and Panama. Moncayo off the mark again. And speaking of next game, you'll be on that call, right, Joe?
Yep, Chile and Panama, almost kind of a similar story between those two teams as this one.
Right, and tonight you can expect some great basketball action as well between the U.S.
Well, the U.S. is facing Argentina, and I think one thing that we've noticed with the U.S. is that every single time they face someone, especially teams like Puerto Rico, who we thought maybe could compete with them, they've been blowing them out the water. USA, such a talented team, but they haven't faced Argentina yet. We don't know what we'll see from them. Argentina has been starting to pick up their groove, especially those last couple of games.
And defensively as well. Argentina is, their hands are always in the lane. And Giordano last game had the high scoring total for the tournament with 35 points. And we know Marcos, what he can do. And Cafaro is going to be big down low.
One thing to look for in Argentina in that game is we'll see if Francisco Farabello is going to play. We know he had a bad fall yesterday. We'll see if he's okay.
And right, and tonight Canada will take on Puerto Rico, the host of this tournament. Puerto Rico, if they get hot, they get hot. So it's going to be some great action tonight in the semifinals. But for right now, there's 2:37 left in this game, 92-67, and it's all but done now.
What do you think is the biggest takeaway for Ecuador in this tournament? We've mentioned how they haven't been in this tournament before. They played at a high level. What do you think these players can take from it?
They got to be proud. First and foremost, they got to be proud of what they've done qualifying for this tournament. Obviously, the talent level isn't what they want it to be, but you can learn from these teams, the more talented players, right? And like Capurro said yesterday, he's just honored to play against guys from the USA because obviously it's a learning experience for them. It's their first time. They're just getting their feet wet. And I expect big things out of Ecuador moving forward.
And I think what's so impressive to me is they're so young. This is the U18, so obviously not a ton of experience playing basketball. There's still so much for them to grow. And the way that they've been acting, when we heard Capurro say that how he's just honored to play in a tournament like this, it's always good to hear, especially from a young player, because you know that their head's kind of in the right place.
Yeah, and for the Dominican, they can take from this game, heading into tomorrow, consolation victory. They're not the big teams. They don't, like I said about Ecuador, they don't have the talent level as some of these teams. They have two great players on their team, don't get me wrong, but it seemed like this game they really started to play as a team, and last couple games they got a little frustrated and sort of fell apart.
And for the Dominican, obviously still disappointing, but they competed against Argentina, they competed against Puerto Rico, they played hard against the USA in that first game of this tournament. On day one, they were in it in that first half. So for the Dominican, obviously, there's just so much talent in this tournament that some team is just not going to, one of those teams aren't going to make the World Cup. You're not going to be able to advance to the semifinals. For the Dominican, they were that team, but they still have shown a lot of great stuff in these past 5 days.
And for these players, it's the biggest tournament they've ever competed in, right? So, and it's a chance for them to put the world on notice, and tons of scouting comes here. So it's a great tournament to get known and show off your talents.
And absolutely, Alonzo Frank and Lester Quinones, they showed the world a lot with the way they played in these past 5 days and then going into tomorrow.
Definitely NBA potential. I wouldn't be surprised if we see most of these players in the professional level in the next couple of years, whether it's in Europe or in the States. About a minute 20 left now, 98-70 for Dominican. But what I love about Ecuador is they play hard to the end of the game. They don't give up, and that's awesome. The Ecuadorians back home got to be very happy and very proud of them.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yesterday they were down by around 50 at one point against the USA, and you saw Rivera dive for a ball at one point. The big man getting on the floor, risking his body against a game that you know you're not going to win, in a game where you know that so much was on the line. So again, just so impressed by Ecuador throughout this tournament. They still have one more game. They're going to be facing the loser of Chile and Panama tomorrow.
About 47 seconds left here. Dominican can just about get a couple shots maybe off, and then it'll be done with 40 and a half now. Winding down the clock. Mateo Moncayo. Not a lot of movement now. We know that the game's over. Mateo going to take the last shot. And that'll be it. Dominican can dribble it out. It was a tough-fought game through the first half and a bit into the third quarter, but Dominican's talent just took over and really led them to stretch this lead out and ultimately get this victory.
And that's really just been the issue with Ecuador, right? Their talent level eventually shows up to the point where, you know, when you're facing tough players and tough teams, you can only do so much, but 70 points against the Dominican Republic, they should be proud of the way they played. A ton of minutes as well that they're starters. A guy like Henning Rivera, he must be exhausted playing against a guy like Franklin Soriano almost all game long. Michael Moncayo, I know he got cold in that second half, but he's the whole reason they're competitive, especially early on.
Great sportsmanship here at the end. At the end of the day, it's all love between these players. They respect their games, and great appreciation. That's what this FIBA World Tournament's all about.
And I think for these young players, there's so much you can take from these games. You know, Capurro mentioned how much of an honor it was to play against the U.S. They lost by over 50 points. It's a game that more people would likely say, oh, you don't want to look back at that as a positive, but it is a positive. You get to play against some of the best players in the world.
To score 50+ on that team as well, like they are an all-world defensive team. All those USA players are #1 in their high school. And they come and they gel together, which most of these teams do.
And I think once you get in a tournament like this and you play a lot of games, you practice with each other, you train with each other, a bond has grown between those teammates. And, you know, to play at this level for your country, it's always going to be something you look at as a positive.
Right. And just to recap this game a little bit, we saw some great action there through 3 quarters both ways for both teams, and it just wasn't enough for Ecuador. But you see, Quinones was really the difference tonight. Mr. Quinones, 20, 15, and 7 tonight to go along with 1 steal and 1 block. Can't be mad about that. Like schools are looking at him now, and he's only improving his stock.
And I like how the Dominican, they never kind of took their foot off the pedal. They continue to be aggressive. They continue to play hard on defense, causing turnovers like that and then pushing it, getting it to Soriano. I remember that was at the end of the third quarter. Also, another guy, Soriano, I want to mention that, you know, we expected a lot from him in this tournament. We didn't see much in the past couple of games today. He showed up. He proved why he could be one of the more dominant players in this tournament.
Yeah, and the sky's the limit for this kid. And even Alonzo Frank, he's heading to South Carolina next year. It's gonna be something special.
And you could tell he's the biggest body in this tournament. I know he's not the tallest, but when you see him on the court compared to everybody else, he's huge. And he uses his body, and I think at the end of the day, for Alonzo Frank, there's nothing but positives looking forward in his career.
And right now, Reese Dumani is one-on-one. He's got an interview with Lester Quinones.
Lester, big win for your team, big game for you as well. Almost a triple-double. 22 points, 11 defensive rebounds. That's the number that stands out to me. How important is it to you to be not as so much an offensive presence, but a presence all over the court?
It all starts on defense, so you can't get to offense without playing defense. And today I was just focusing on doing all the little things, not really much scoring because it just came to me naturally. Today I was getting my open looks, but today I was worried about stopping their best player, not letting them score, getting the defensive rebounds, offensive rebounds, passing, assists, doing all the little things, diving on the floor, all that stuff.
Throughout the entire tournament, you've been the leader for your team. What's gone well for you?
Just trying to get everybody together as a team, so making the extra pass if somebody's open, making the team come together better, and just everybody being a family and acting like brothers.
How important is it for you guys? You guys are now 2-3 on the whole tournament itself. How important is it to get the 3rd win tomorrow, finish at a 500 record, and get 5th place?
Yeah, we're just going to try to place the highest place we could go, and that's 5th, so we're just going to keep playing hard these next couple of games. And those last couple of losses were on me because I was out of my game, so now it's time to step up and prove to my team that we could be the 5th team.
Throughout the summer, what's one thing you'll look to improve in your game?
I'll probably look to improve my ball handling a little better, but I feel like my passing is getting better and being more of like a point guard and the leader is becoming better with me. That's what I've been working on.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Lester. Congrats on the win here today.
And Lester there, speaking very humbly about himself, putting those losses on himself. And that'll do it for the game today. 102-70 For Joe D'Agostino and the rest of the production crew, I'm Anthony Gallo. Next game coming up next.